Hi guys, welcome to Money Theory. And since tax season is coming up, I thought of a fun video to talk about the government waste of tax money. Oh, did I say fun? I meant infuriating. Let's get started.
DPW says the solution is developing the next generation of trash can, one that is sturdy and can stand up to tampering, vandalism, and can incorporate recycling bins and high-tech innovations like an automatic notification system when the trash inside needs to be picked up. DPW hopes a $537,000 pilot program will find that perfect trash receptacle. The city says it will work with a contractor to prototype 3 designs and will order 5 of each at about $20,000 a piece, and will test those alongside already available off-the-shelf models.
We could not find a can that could fill all those boxes. Now there were some that met one option or two, but we could not find anything that could check all of those boxes.
So the tax is the government's form of revenue. This comes from various sources, such as income tax, which is from your salary or your business income, capital gains, which are from your investments in stocks, or business and permits and license. And when you purchase stuff, you pay a sales tax. And finally, there's also the property tax, which includes when you have machinery equipment or when you own property, like real estate. I like to consider taxes as invisible fees because you don't really think about it. Income tax is already deducted from your salary income, and the sales tax is already added onto your purchases. So people usually just don't think about taxes until it's tax season or when you pay the taxes directly, like through property tax and your business fees. But this is something that takes about 25 to 40% of people's income. So it's important to consider how your hard-earned money is spent. Have the government programs been delivering on the promises, or do they just amount to wastage? Another important type of hidden fee is the inflation. Inflation is often considered the silent tax, because when assets such as homes and stocks become more expensive, that also means a higher tax when you sell it. Wages also tend to increase to keep up with the cost of living with inflation, and also amounts to higher taxes. So the government secretly loves inflation because that leads to higher tax revenue. So here's a quick breakdown of the various amounts of debt that the government has. And here are the top 5 in the country. You can see the assets on the middle column, liabilities, which are debts, on the right column. So if you subtract the assets minus the liabilities, you'll have debt. And these are in billions of dollars. So let's imagine how big a billion is. So how big is 1 billion? If you decide to take a 1 billion step hike, that would be 378,000 miles. And if you were to stack $1 bills on top of each other, $1 billion stack would be 67.9 miles high. And the government federal debt amounts to $28 trillion. So how much is $1 trillion? If we had $100 bills stacked on top of each other into crates, this is what $1 trillion would amount to. And an average person is on that bottom left corner. So the government has a problem with budgeting. There's that basic equation, revenue minus spending equals savings. And when spending is greater than the revenue, that means debt. To get out of debt, they need to either increase their revenue or decrease their spending. And they just don't really know how to manage the wasteful expenses. All they do know is how to increase taxes. Politicians like to throw blame onto corporations and billionaires for not paying enough taxes, but they never consider how they are spending the tax money. Government usually just likes to raise taxes, but they can't seem to lower them. For example, in California, there's a major problem right now with high gas prices. And California was considering to have a tax holiday to lower the taxes on gas, to lower the prices of gas, but that measure failed. And recently, President Biden has a new tax plan on increasing taxes on the ultra-rich.
The report does not reveal why the county failed to bring the PPE back inside, even though Fiesta Hall was vacant for the rest of the year. But Leonidas writes the rain didn't cause much damage. Since most items of equipment were individually sealed in plastic, virtually all of it is salvageable and reusable. Tom Lynch doesn't agree.
Medical supplies, when exposed to the elements, are no longer useful. So I think that one of the challenges there is they may be distributing supplies that could have potential negative outcomes for the users.
Even though internal emails back up the $10 million figure for the cost of the PPE, the county insists it's just $7 million. But they have not responded to my request for invoices to prove it. And don't forget the $1 million they paid in rent and another $500,000 spent on the cleanup effort. So clearly, Larry, the bill just keeps on climbing.
The ABC 7 News I-Team revealed 9 companies, part of the Plump Jack Group founded by Governor Newsom, received millions in funding through the Paycheck Protection Program. The intent of the federal program was to keep small businesses afloat during the pandemic.
New data released by the SBA and analyzed by ABC 7 News indicates Plump Jack businesses, including wineries, bars, and restaurants, 8 of which are partially owned by Governor Newsom, received nearly $3 million in PPP loans.
When one of our government agencies fails this badly, I believe that it breaks the public's trust.
$20 billion in fraudulent claims, a 26-week waiting period. That's more than 6 months for interviews to resolve freezes. Roughly 120,000 people still waiting.
I don't think people have captured in their mind the enormity of the amount of money that has been issued errantly to undeserving people.
Perhaps the most ambitious high-speed rail project in modern U.S. history was approved all the way back in 2008. It promised to take passengers across the 400-mile journey from San Francisco to Los Angeles in just 3 hours, a journey that would take more than 6 hours by car. The economic and environmental benefits were great enough to more than justify the $33 billion initial price tag. As you might have guessed, the project was perhaps the single largest and most embarrassing public infrastructure disaster in U.S. history. Overly ambitious targets, regulatory issues, and general mismanagement have turned the project into a massive money-sucking black hole. Today, more than a decade after the train was originally approved, its cost has ballooned to almost $100 billion and is yet to transport a single passenger.
In major cities, especially in California, has a big problem with the homeless population. And there's this thing called a homeless industrial complex, where there is a disproportionate amount of money spent on the homeless to try to solve the crisis, but it never seems to be solved. My theory is that the government doesn't really want to solve the problem because it's a source of revenue. If they were to solve it, then that would be a loss of revenue. So why solve the problem if you can profit from it?
Los Angeles is now coming together to confront the greatest moral and humanitarian crisis of our time, homelessness.
In 2016, Los Angeles voters approved a referendum to spend more than $1.2 billion building new housing for the homeless. It's part of a plan championed by Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti, who declined our interview request.
And I will accept nothing less than a home for every person who needs a roof under their head. We are here to end homelessness.
The city set a target of 10,000 new housing units within a decade that were supposed to take between 3 and 6 years to build. But 3 years in, just 1% of those apartments will be ready for occupancy by the end of 2019.
And this topic deserves a video of its own. This is about crime resulting from defunding the police, releasing jail and prisoner inmates, and the new bail policy that is essentially a catch and release.
Tonight, a renewed call to defund the Chicago Police Department. Hundreds of demonstrators calling for the millions of dollars the city pours into police to go back into the neighborhoods.
This isn't something that's just cute or something that we come out to just make a statement. This is our life.
Some of the activists, now familiar faces, back out again demanding that the funds be used for community resources and
well, Ben, the death of a detainee prompted over 100 people to come out here and protest despite the stay-at-home order. They are demanding the release of all incarcerated people, claiming that more will die of COVID-19. The loud protest action by various activist groups comes as COVID-19 cases inside the Cook County Jail continue to go up. As of today, 240 detainees have tested positive, along with 107 staffers of the Sheriff's Department.
They're not happening fast enough, and that furthermore, there are no changes that can keep an environment like this safe. where there are so many people so close together and there are staff and guards moving between different areas of the jail. It's not possible. The only solution that will truly keep people safe is releasing people.
So now, with all the crime from the failed policies, they want to refund the police. For example, San Francisco was one of the major advocates of the defund the police movement, and also a major source of a lot of crime. So they cut $120 million from the police department, and now they're turning around and realizing the open air drug policies and crime, and now they want to refund the police again.
And it's time that the reign of criminals who are destroying our city, it is time for it to come to an end. And it comes to an end when we take the steps to be more aggressive with law enforcement, more aggressive with the changes in our policies, and less tolerant of all the bullshit that has destroyed our city. We are going to turn this around.
The announcement is a major reversal for Breed. The mayor had previously cut $120 million from the budgets of both San Francisco's police and sheriff departments as part of the defund the police movement. Team Rising.
So, unfortunately, most of these projects and policies are decided by politicians with minimal input by the citizens. Politicians are supposed to represent their voters, but they can easily be bought out by lobbyists and campaign donations. And only a few spending proposals are directly voted by citizens through proposition ballots. So there needs to be direct input on the budget. We need to have direct decisions on where and how the money is spent, and we need to be able to see all the options available for the contract decisions. There also needs to be audits and oversight. Only after the wastage happens do the news report on them. An economic analysis is needed to see the cost and benefits. Also, politicians must learn about budgeting and finance. They can't seem to understand the basic concepts of finance and economics, or even basic business skills on knowing how to budget. They just know how to talk and to win your vote. Or at least they know how to gerrymander so that your vote doesn't count. You work hard your entire life, so you deserve to know how your tax money is spent. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed our video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support our channel, you can check out our Patreon. Also check out our other YouTube channel and Instagram. Thanks for watching.